Okay, so I had this really awful experience babysitting on Wednesday, and I really wanted to vlog about it because it was so insane and it's just too much to type. So, okay, now I've had a lot of bad experiences, also a lot of good ones though. It's not like I'm sitting here complaining that everything is so awful because I definitely have good experiences, but there are like really bad ones. Like whenever I have a bad one, it's just really bad. Anyway, so Wednesday. Okay, Wednesday. Okay, I got this call a couple days before Wednesday saying like, "Hey, we have a job for you. It's in a penthouse at the hotel, the one next to Mandalay Bay that's called the hotel. And, 3 kids and bring your bathing suit just in case because you're going to be there for 15 hours and they want you on Wednesday and Thursday from 9 a.m. to midnight. So it would have been 30 hours, right? And bring your bathing suit just in case and whatever." So I bring all my games and stuff because we're supposed to bring like games, and I brought my swimsuit. And I get there and they don't answer the door because they overslept. And so I walked back down to the concierge, and they had, after like 15 minutes of calling, the nanny place calling them, and the concierge calling them. Here, let me make sure this is recording. Okay. The concierge calling them. Finally, they get a hold of the family, and they're like, "Oh, we overslept. Just send her up or whatever." So I go up there, and the daughter, it's a 10-year-old girl, an 8-year-old girl, and a 6-year-old boy. Well, the 10-year-old girl answers the phone. Answers the door. Okay, that's like so unsafe. And you know what? Every time I go to a hotel, the kid answers the door. If the kid's over like 6, they're answering the door. And I'm like, okay, this is so unsafe, but that's like besides the point. So I go in, and she's like, "Hi," really sweet kids. Like the kids were sweet. And I'm like, "Hey, where are you guys from?" And she said, "Saudi Arabia." And I was like, "Oh, cool." And we were talking, and everything was fine. And then the dad comes out, and he seems nice, like he smiles, and and then he sits and he says, "Yeah, we're gonna go to Lion King later. You're invited." And I was like, "Oh, okay, cool." But I was like, I didn't want to act like all excited, like, "Ooh, you're doing this for me." I wanted to be like, "Oh, the kids will enjoy that." So I was like, I totally responded appropriately and everything. And I'm like, that's so exciting. I've heard it's really great. Anyway, and so they're like deadbeats. Like the parents the whole time were just like whenever you would talk to them, they would just like ignore you. Or anyway, it was so weird. Anyway, so then we talked about going to the shark reef and going to the pool and everything like that. So basically the day was planned out of what we were going to do. And then the dad said, "We're all going to go to breakfast now." And this was like, okay, I was supposed to be there at 9, but I got there at 8:45. We're supposed to be there 15 minutes early. So like it's like 10 now, and the parents are still there. Already I'm not showing it, of course, but I'm already irritated because I've had parents stay before, and it's so awkward. Like it's hard to have, and I don't like this word, but it's hard to have authority when parents are there, and it's hard to really connect with the kids when the parents are there because it's just awkward. It's like, whatever. So the dad's like, "We're gonna go have breakfast all together and then we'll go our separate ways." So I was like, "Oh, okay," thinking like, ugh, just go already, right? Anyway, so we go down to breakfast. It's this really nice breakfast. And I say, "So what do you want me to do for their lunch and dinner, or just dinner or whatever?" He says, "Well, after you go to the pool, they'll have a snack, and then we'll order room service after we get back from the Lion King." And I was like, "Oh, okay." Then he hands me $100 bill, and he says, "I want you to create a program for them. I don't ever want them to be bored." And I'm thinking, well, of course they're not going to be bored, like, so I'm like, okay. So we leave breakfast, and, but during breakfast, I was trying to make a conversation with Mom. And I'm like, "So you guys are going to go to California next? Because that's what your daughter told me." "I don't speak English," she says. And I'm like, "Oh, okay." And then so I talked to the dad, I'm talking to the kids, I'm trying to get some kind of, I'm trying to involve myself, but it's hard. Like, the kids are just like in their own world, obviously. I don't expect anything out of them, but I mean, I was putting the effort in, you know? Anyway, and so we leave breakfast and we head towards the shark reef. And I'm thinking the parents are going to go their separate way because they said they were going to. Sorry. Um, but they don't. And the dad's like, where's the shark reef? And I'm like, oh, it's this way. And they're like walking with us. And I'm thinking, okay, why aren't they leaving? Why aren't they leaving? But they go into shark reef with us. And so I'm like walking up to pay with a $100 bill he gave me. But he like is walking with me and then he pays it. And I'm like, oh, you don't want me to use this $100 bill? And he's like, no, it's okay. And I'm like, well, here's my local ID because you get a discount. And so we got the discount. And then we go into shark reef. And of course the kids are totally clinging to their parents and then running off, and I'm just like a follower, like I'm following. It's not like I can be like, hey, come over here, stay with us, because it's not, I don't feel right doing that in front of the parents. I don't feel right being a parent unless that hole is there for me to fill where I can step in and be a parent figure. I can't do that when they're both there. It's just so frustrating, so frustrating. So I'm following them around like a lame-o, and, you know, but when we got to the part where you pet the stingrays, then I was able to help them and be like, hey, it's okay, it won't sting you, you know, here, you know. I was doing the best. I was doing really good. I'm not even going to say the best I could do because I was doing fine. Like, it was perfect. Anyway, so, you know, we leave there. We all go back up to the hotel room. We start playing games. And the parents go into their bedroom, and then the kids follow them in their bedroom. And I'm like sitting out in the living room alone. I can't stop them from going in the bedroom. All I can do is say, you don't want to play this? You want to play something else? And then they're like, no, 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 no. And they just walk into the bedroom. I can't control that. And I'm certainly not going to follow them into the bedroom and be like, you guys need to come out here. You know, so I'm basically sitting out in the living room like a chump, just not knowing what to do. Then they all come out, and I'm like, why don't we get our bathing suits on and go down to the beach? Because it's called the beach at Mandalay Bay. They're like, okay. The oldest kid and the youngest kid said okay, but the middle one wanted to stay with the parents and go shopping all day. So me and the two kids got ready and then went ahead and went down. And that was the only time we were not around the parents. That was the only time. And that was the time when I actually felt more at ease, even though I was chasing them all around the casino and running around on hot sand at the beach and trying to keep them in my eyesight between the kiddie pool, the wave pool, and the lazy river, which is hard. And the youngest boy was 2 inches too short for the wave pool, so I was trying to keep him safe in a kiddie pool or in a lazy river, but still keep an eye on the girl. It was hard. It wasn't undoable. I'm just saying that it was pretty stressful, but whatever. So the dad said that I should get a snack for them after swimming, right? So I had the $100 bill, and I'm like, okay, let's go get a snack. And they're like, we don't want a snack, we're not hungry. And I'm like, oh, okay, well, is there anything you want here? You know, is there anything that would, you know, make you feel good right now? And then the daughter was like, well, I would like the cookie ice cream, the ice cream with the 2 cookies on it. And I was all like, I said okay, but only because she was getting really pushy about it, and I already kind of felt like the parents didn't like me, and I didn't want to hear, like, because he told me to keep them entertained all day long and never to let them be bored, and I don't know, I felt like I had to do it, so I'm like, okay. And he never said anything. It's not like I got in trouble for it or anything like that, but I go ahead and let her have ice cream. The boy wanted another inner tube, so he got another inner tube, and then she's like, the daughter says, I want to go back up to the shark reef and get one of those personalized bracelets, because they have like kiosks up there. So I'm like, okay, so it's a long walk back to the shark reef, right? And I'm in flip-flops, which normally I'm fine, but walking too much in flip-flops, my feet start to hurt. But whatever. And so I'm carrying there's 3 inner tubes now. I'm carrying 2 of them, and one of the kids is carrying the other. So I'm like, I knew the way to the shark reef, but the girl kept saying, I'm gonna ask. And I'm like, no, it's right here. So she kept going up to the people at the podiums in front of restaurants, that are on the phone taking reservations. She kept going up to them while they were on the phone and saying, like, how do I get to the shark reef? And I'm like, I know how to get there. Like, you don't have to ask. Here, let me see how much time. Okay, it's been 10 minutes, so I'm gonna make a part 2 to this.